Wells Fargo, Minnesota Sports Prep Update for Wednesday, December 18th. I'm Ryan Phelps.
Makes the save. Goes up the score! White Bear Wing wins it in overtime!
The sounds of high school hockey in Minnesota from yesteryear, from one of the great arenas in the state, but sadly an arena that will close after this year. Minnesota State Fair officials announced Tuesday that this will be the last season that the Lee and Rose Warner Coliseum will cater to ice skating. The 62-year-old building, formerly known as the St. Paul Hippodrome until the rink was built in 1975, will still remain open during the State Fair, but officials said its ice-making equipment has deteriorated beyond repair. The equipment, also installed in 1975, would need to be completely replaced at a cost of between $1 and $1.2 million, in addition to shutting down the rink for a year to rehab the facility. These costs have been deemed prohibitive by State Fair officials. In the 80s and 90s, the 5,000-seat Coliseum hosted up to 150 games per year, catering to high schools and colleges, as well as the semi-pro St. Paul Saints. In recent years, the number of games has consistently dipped to somewhere in the 30s or 40s, according to State Fair General Manager Jerry Hammer, including Hamline University's women's hockey and St. Paul Como Park and Roseville high schools. The Coliseum's current winter season will end in February and will go out in style with the Section 4 and 5 AA finals for boys hockey. Fair officials said they will strive to expand their schedule of retail and special events into the winter months to make up for the loss of the rink. Over the years, the Coliseum has been the host of the girls' state hockey tournament as well as dozens of boys' section finals.
Your first word probably wasn't something like finance, or savings, or ATM. But whatever that first word was, it opened up a world to you that was built on conversations. It's this exchange of ideas that Wells Fargo puts into practice every day, through listening, guiding, and planning. So when the conversation is about ways to grow your savings or your business, we'll be here to help you find the right answers. Because an open dialogue is what opens doors. Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A.
I'm in a state of caffeination, got all my fingers shaking. Must have been my large Americano, mochaccino, macchiato. Now the family's gone to bed, and that's my favorite time to get some tips on better rates. Cause my State Farm guy answers late, and even when it's not my agent, someone's standing by so patient. Getting coverage questions answered helps me to relax. Get to a better state, State Farm.
Visit Brandy Warmbier's State Farm Insurance Office, located off Singletree and Flying Cloud Drive, online at brandywarmbier.com.
As longtime Chisholm boys basketball coach Bob McDonald approaches 1,000 career victories, we decided today to open up the rest of the record book and check out some of the glorious past of boys basketball and its 100-plus year history. The 80-year-old McDonald is in his 53rd season as head coach of the Blue Streaks, in addition to a half-dozen seasons prior to that at McGregor and Barnum. He is Minnesota's all-time winningest basketball coach with 998 career victories. His youngest son, Joel, was the leading scorer in Minnesota when he graduated in 1991 with 3,292 points. Now that mark is held by Anders Broman from Lakeview Christian Academy in Duluth. He's currently at South Dakota State. Edina holds the record for the longest winning streak at 69. That took place from 1965 to 68. And the most points in a game? Well, that goes to Cash Eggleston from Minnesota Transitions Charter in 2005 when he put up 90. In 2010, that same school, Minnesota Transitions Charter, was involved in the highest scoring game ever in Minnesota when they played the International School of Minnesota and won 144 to 97 for 241 total points. Back to McDonald in closing. He will likely win his 1,000th game at the Hibbing Christmas Tournament next week.
I like saving money. I mean, it's not like I have a purse stuffed with coupons or... Okay, I do. The other day, I went into Wells Fargo to get help with a car loan.
Good news. You qualify for our double discount promotion. Get double the interest rate discount we normally give on select new loans and lines of credit just for being a Wells Fargo checking package customer.
And the best part, I didn't even need a coupon.
Come to Wells Fargo to discuss how the double discount promotion can help with the interest rate on your new loan or line of credit. Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far. Subject to credit qualification. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A. Equal housing lender.
Make sure your windshield and wiper de-icer can keep up this winter with the snow, ice, and frost. Splashes Windshield and Wiper De-Icer, available at your nearest Hardware Hank, quickly dissolves ice and reduces the need for scraping. Visit your nearest Hardware Hank for Splashes Windshield and Wiper De-Icer and cut down on the amount of time spent out in the cold cleaning off your car.
You've got a lot more going for you with Hank, Hardware Hank.
It's time for our Hardware Hank Nuts and Bolts Athletes of the Week, which are selected every Tuesday based on your nominations to MinnesotaScores.net. Each week we pick 2 winners, one from the Metro and one from Greater Minnesota. The outstate winner is Kari Skursik from Bagley Girls Basketball, and the Metro winner is Rusty Axtman from Tartan Boys Hockey. The Wells Fargo Minnesota Sports Prep Update can be heard right here every Monday through Friday, and for more coverage, you can find us on the web at MinnesotaScores.net. That's Minnesota-Scores.net. I'm Ryan Phelps on Minnesota Sports Radio.
It's time for another round of live local play-by-play coverage of Southwest Metro High School sports. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the Mulch Store, Performance Therapy Innovations, Alpha Investment Advisors, The Tavern on 4 and 5, The Sun Current, Home Video Studio, and in partnership with BEC TV, Bloomington Educational Cable Television. Catch all of the action all season long on your home for Southwest Metro Sports, PSB Media. Game time is coming up next.
Perfect Storm Broadcasting is live in Edina for the 32nd annual Edina Holiday Classic featuring Elk River, Grand Rapids, Eden Prairie, and of course the hosts Edina Hornets. Adam Rosso alongside Brett Johnson, and we're just a few minutes before the puck drops on. The opening matchup between number 2 Elk River and number 3 Eden Prairie, a matchup of unbeatens to kick off this annual holiday tournament, and we should have a dandy on our hands here tonight, Brett.
Absolutely. Number 2 versus number 3, and I have to admit, this is probably the strongest field they've had in quite some time here for the Edina Holiday Classic. When you run down the latest Let's Play Hockey rankings, you got Elk River number 2, Eden Prairie 3, I believe Edina's 5 or 6, I think Grand Rapids is number 13, so 4 very strong teams, and I believe this is the first time that Elk River is going to go into the Holiday Classic as the highest rated team. They've had some trouble over the past few years here at the Holiday Classic. Over their past 7 years, since 2005, I should say, just a record of 5-18-1, but they have high expectations that they can do well, and they're certainly deserving of that number 2 ranking. They're 5-0 on the season. They've played a very strong schedule, beating teams like Duluth East, and also the tournament host Edina, who they knocked off in their opening hockey game this season up at the Elk River Ice Arena. So Elk River certainly with high expectations under second-year coach Gordy Roberts. Eden Prairie, on the other hand, definitely having a bounce-back year after finishing around 500 last year. They're also off to a 5-0 start. Now, they haven't played quite the same schedule as Elk River, but they're awfully talented as they've recently gotten big wins over Cretin, Durham Hall, and Jefferson, who are 2 of the better teams in the state of Minnesota here for high school hockey. And this team also has expectations that are high as well, with Eden Prairie coming in with 17 seniors. Elk River also a senior-laden team. So this will be a fun matchup between 2 veteran, very talented teams.
Yeah, these 2 squads did meet a year ago, last year on December 20th, so 364 days ago, I guess it would be, they met. Right back here at Braemar, Eden Prairie worked out a 4-2 victory over the Elks in that one, and coming into tonight, like you said, Brett, both teams 5-0. They also feature high-octane offenses, both averaging 5.5, nearly 5.5 goals per game, both averaging over 35 shots per game. So both goalies will have to be at their best to keep their teams in it. Of course, Jake Gertis has emerged as the number 1 goaltender for the Eagles. He is 4-0, 1.5 goals against. He's got a save percentage of about 94%, so he's been very effective the last few games. And on the other side, you have Mac Berglove. He's 4-0 as well, 90% saves and a 3 goals against. So it could come down to those 2 teams and which goaltender has a hot hand here, both tonight and the rest of the weekend, as these 2 teams will play the other 2 teams in a round-robin format here tomorrow, and finally Saturday night we'll have all 6 games 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow, 2 Saturday right here on PSB. So join us for those. And we will take a short break, about 2.5 minutes till the puck drops. Elk River and Eden Prairie will be back in a minute on PSB.
And we're joined by Rob Friend at the Mulch Store. Rob, a lot of people are finishing up those fall projects, whether it's trimming trees or getting rid of all those leaves. What can people do with those materials once they're done?
Well, they can bring their yard waste into any of our locations and dispose of it for a small fee. And after it's disposed of, we then process it and turn it into compost.
It's also a very easy, straightforward process to stop in at any of those Mulch Store locations, correct?
You just pull into any of the sites, you check in with the gate attendant and pay your small fee, and you're all set to go.
And if people would like more information about the great products and services the Mulch Store offers, what's your website?
mulchstoremn.com.
Are you sure we should take this billboard down?
People find out State Farm does car loans as well as they do insurance. Our bank is through.
Good point. Grab an edge.
Look, there's 2 guys on the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign.
No, for real, there's 2 dudes on the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign.
Breaking news from the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign.
Seeing 2 men that have climbed the Borrow Better banking sign.
Gentlemen, please get down from the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign. Bill, get the hose.
Okay, he's getting the hose.
All right, let's go.
Talk to a State Farm agent about car loans that can save you hundreds. That's borrowing better.
Visit Brandy Warmbier State Farm Insurance Office, located off Singletree and Flying Cloud Drive, online at brandywarmbier.com.
He sure looks good.
He does. It's hard to believe he was ever sick. But the bills, they just keep coming.
You remember the life insurance you bought years ago? It has living benefits that you could use for times like this.
Mom, he's sick. No, honey, he's fine.
Don't worry, your hair will grow back. Mine did.
State Farm puts the life back in life insurance with benefits you can use when you need them most.
Visit Brandy Warmbier State Farm Insurance Office, located off Singletree and Flying Cloud Drive, online at brandywarmbier.com. Think about the best athletes in the world, no matter the sport. How did they rise above the competition? These athletes didn't get to the top of their game on talent alone. They trained hard, and they trained right. PTI will work with your athlete to reach new heights. They'll get a high-level customized program from a skilled professional who truly cares about and understands your athlete's needs. The results of PTI will give your son or daughter the confidence and determination to unleash their full potential. Performance Therapy Innovations, where athletes get results.
The Sun Current is proud to be your community news leader for over 50 years. Each week you can read their in-depth coverage on local government, school district news, high school sports matchups, community events, and newsmakers. The Sun Current's website is now mobile user-friendly and provides breaking local news coverage daily. Check it out at current.mnsun.com.
Second-ranked Elk River, third-ranked Eden Prairie back on the ice as we are just about set to kick off the Edina Holiday Classic. As Brett and I touched on in the opening, both teams 5-0 coming in. They do have a common opponent between them. It's Osseo, and each team had a pretty convincing victory. That's who Elk River most recently played Saturday evening in Osseo. They escaped emphatically, an 8-4 victory over the Orioles. And the season opener for the Eagles was a 6-0 victory over those same Osseo Orioles. So both teams having a common opponent, but all signs point to this being a highly competitive game as both the Eagles and Elks have some signature wins on their early season docket. So a couple players to watch for this opening game. Luke Snuggerud and Steven Spinner, the 1-2 punch that if you followed any of the Eden Prairie's games here on PSB earlier in the season, we've highlighted those two guys really make the Eagles' offense go. Snuggerud, of course, the big defenseman. He's probably one of the best defensemen in the state going to Nebraska-Omaha next year for his college career. And then Spinner, the forward, he has 9 points, which is tied for third on the team. And he really kind of is the catalyst to that first line, Brett. First line that will remain intact. It's Spinner, Keeley, and Schmidt. But a couple guys are out this evening. Andy Aguilar and Riley Artsinger both will not be playing this evening. I don't believe all the rest of the tournament for undisclosed reasons, as the starting lineups were just announced. And the fans in attendance will rise, we will rise with them and pause for the national anthem. Our national anthem played on a recording. I assume it was the Edina High School Choir. Very nice rendition as both teams are set to kick off the Holiday Classic. Just a point of reference for you guys at home. Both teams red and black school colors tonight. Eden Prairie is the visiting squad. They are in their road black. Elk River in their home whites. Both teams black helmets. White numbers on the black jerseys for the Eagles, red numbers on white jerseys for the Elks, as number 2 versus number 3 set to face it off here from Praire Arena.
Yeah, this is really going to be a fun game. Kick off this Holiday Classic. Looking forward to all 6 games. It's funny when you talk about predictions. I could see it just about going any way. I mean, if I were to make a prediction, I guess I would probably say Elk River, Edina, Eden Prairie would maybe all go 2-1 in this tournament, but that's also selling a very good Grand Rapids team short. I mean, they're more than capable of winning all 3 games, and boy, this is just going to be a great weekend of hockey with 4 very talented teams. It really feels like a mini-state tournament in a way.
Yeah, Grand Rapids team that actually eliminated Elk River in last year's Section 7 semifinals before they fell to Duluth East in the Section Finals. So 4 very good teams, as Spinner faces off with Jones as we are underway in the Edina Holiday Classic. Snuggerud has it for the Eagles as he dumps it in to the right corner. Spinner gives chase. He's ridden into the board by an Elk, and the Elk River breaks it out here and dumps it back into the zone after it for the Elks is Reggie Lutz. Lutz has it. Centers. Off the side of the net was the shot attempt there, and here's another shot attempt, this time held onto by Gertis. That was Peter Jones, a junior freshman, putting the shot on net, forcing the face-off here just 33 seconds in.
Well, looking at some numbers, both of these teams very good first-period teams. Eden Prairie outscoring their first-period opponents 7-2. Elk River by a margin of 8-3. So both these teams usually get off to strong starts. Big reason why they're 5-0.
Puck at center ice. Shu loses the puck, and now there's going to be a penalty, and it's going to go on Shu for a hook. So early pressure in the neutral zone by the Elks. They're going to turn that into an early minor penalty. It'll be 2 minutes for Brady Shu. Time of the penalty 16-14.
Yeah, so we're going to look here at the Elk River power play, which has been great this season, converting, get this at Adam, 50%. Very unusual to see a power play convert at that high a percentage.
Kerstead. His shot is off a shin pad of the Eden Prairie defenseman, and the Elks will have to reset on their power play. This is Kerstead. He'll dump it into the left side, wrapped around behind Gertis. After it is Springman. Springman back there with Jerimko. Jerimko, the leading scorer on Elk River. Puck taken out of the zone, and it hits a stick on the Eden Prairie bench, and there'll be a face-off at center ice. 1:16 on the man advantage left for Elk River.
Well, Eden Prairie's penalty kill definitely a little bit better than it was last season. So far, they've been killing penalties at an 80% rate. Pretty good percentage. Sure, there's still room for improvement that Coach Smith would like to see out of his squad.
And they still are finding the box, probably a little more than he would like as well.
Yeah, that's been the big problem. I think what was the game we did against Jefferson where they had 7 penalties, too many.
Zerbin brings it in. Shot is wide of Gertis. Snuggerud sends it out of the zone and back to center ice. Springman. His attempt to dump is met by Spinner, and he sends it back out all the way down to the opposite end of the ice, where Elk River will have to reset once again on the 5-on-4 man advantage after the hooking penalty to Brady Shue. Zerbin carries it in. Puck is controlled. This is Zerbin. He loses it off its stick. He looked like he would have had a shooting lane there on Gertis, but instead the Eagles clear, and it looks like they will likely kill this penalty. There's 10 seconds to go on the power play for Elk River.
Yeah, great kill here for Eden Prairie. Elk River really has not had any grade A chances so far. That I think is their second shot on goal here on the power play.
Geisler sends another shot into the body of Gertis. He holds. 3 seconds left. Face-off upcoming to the right of the senior goaltender, Jake Gertis.
I'd like to remind you early on here in the broadcast, you want to email us in the broadcast booth. We'll read your messages on air. We're psbchannel2@gmail.com, or otherwise click on the link before the game tracker screen, or below it, I should say, that says email the broadcast booth.
So we're back to 5-on-5 hockey here. 3 minutes gone by, no score, in a battle of top 5 teams here in Class AA in Minnesota. Leedens has it. Up ahead to Bunker. Bunker will dump it in, and the Elks chase after it. Snuggerud in the far corner. Directs it back to the near corner where Shue has it. Elk River misses on a long pass, and Snuggerud takes it back across center ice. Here comes Snuggerud. Brings it in. Centers. Nobody home, and somehow the puck finds his stick again. Shue. Fluttering shot is taken by Elk River in front of the net. This is Bowden. Bowden banks it off the board. Snuggerud sends it right back to center ice for the Eagles. Kerstead to Schwab. Schwab still has it. Much like we saw last week with the Bloomington-Jefferson Eden Praire game, both teams finding their way here in the early going. This is Schwab. Schwab centering attempt deflected in the air. The puck comes to the point where Boudreau has it. This is Kerstead. Kerstead sends it into the left corner. Elk River sends it down into the Eden Prairie zone once again. A hard check that time. And here comes Schwab. Takes a left-handed shot, but it's blocked before it ever gets to goaltender Jake Gertis. Zerbin now has it. Tries to go around a defensive play by Eden Prairie, and it's into the corner where Niederer and Zerbin were fighting for it.
Definitely still a feeling out process between both teams. Neither squad really in a very good rhythm so far in this game. Elk River's had the better of the play, helped out by that penalty, but Eden Prairie on the other high side, not a whole lot of offense so far. In fact, looking at the scoreboard, still searching for their first shot on goal. The Elks already have 3.
Oh, just about to tally them on my sheet. I was going to say, I think it's 3-0 in shots for Elk River. Once again, if you're just joining us, Elk River in the home whites, Eden Prairie in the road blacks. In case it's a little confusing on the screen as the puck trickles around in front. Shots never do reach Gertis. Back the other way comes Jack Keeley for Eden Prairie. Brings it in. Doesn't get a lot on his shot. Then he's ridden hard into the post of the goal.
Well, first good chance for Eden Prairie. Let's see if we can catch that breakout play here on our replay system. As you can see, Keeley just blow around the Elk River defense. This is a very fast Eden Prairie team, and you can already see why they're a good skating team, as Keeley getting around a couple of Elk River players and creating a good scoring chance for Eden Prairie.
Face-off just outside the Elk River blue line. It's Spinner and Peter Jones. And there's Spinner chasing after it. He gets the puck, circles the net, centered in front. Nice deflection there by the Elk River defense. And now the puck's the other way. The Eagles defense was up in the offensive zone. Nice play by Gertis coming out of the net to get the puck away of a potential odd man rush for the Elks. Back in the zone, short angle shot by Captain Chase Springman is stopped and gloved by Gertis. Face-off upcoming, no score. 11:08 to go, first period.
And I see the Elks trying to hit that home run pass there. Forward was able to split the defense, but the pass just a little bit ahead of him. And Jake Gertis, who's usually more of a stay-at-home goalie, came out and played that one. Good play by the senior netminder.
Elks win the face-off. Shot from the point, gets to Gertis. He stops it with his right pad and covers up. And will reset the batteries, recharge the batteries, and do another face-off to the left of the Eden Prairie goaltender. Gonrowski. Now it's Leedens. Johnson in the corner, back to Leedens. Leedens to Gonrowski. He sends it wide of Gertis. And Eden Prairie, it's possession again, but the Elk River forecheck really giving them problems. Here's a shot just wide. Delivered by Johnson. Another shot attempt. That one gets to the net. Save made Gertis. Gonrowski, left pad save. Rebound, shot wide.
Boy, this line's been on the ice for a while for Eden Prairie. They got to go off on a change, and looks like they'll get their chance.
2-on-2 the other way. The Eagles bring it into the zone. Here's a shot. Looks like a hit off the skate of the goaltender Berglove. Elk River controlling the pace of play here in the last couple minutes, as we're just over 7 minutes into this opening period.
Yeah, Elk River definitely has established more of a forecheck here early on.
Centering attempt that time by Eden Prairie, steered into the corner. Shu at the point, shoots a fluttering puck, and Eden Prairie comes out with it. This is Parrish. Parrish and Niederer behind the net. Now along the far wall. The Elks take it out. Ben Johnson has it at the red line. Snuggerud to Shu. Shu brings him to the zone, sends it into the glove, off the glove of Berglove. Elk River the other way. Nice pass by Zerbin. Zerbin, potential 3-on-2. He fires wide. Gets it back in the corner, however, and Schwab, the sophomore forward, now chases after it for Elk River.
Even as you can see right now, Elk River able to hold the zone for at least a few seconds. Every time Eden Prairie gets into the offensive zone, they're only there for maybe 10, 20 seconds. Not many rebound and second chances. Elk's definitely controlling the play, and overall they just look a step quicker than Eden Prairie here in this game.
Snuggerud brings it in and leaves it behind for Spinner. Spinner tries to tap it along the boards to Lawrence. Lawrence has it. Now this is Keeley. His shot just wide off the backhand attempt. Zerbin ridden into the boards, but maintains possession and then fires a pass just out of the reach of one of his streaking forwards, all the way back down to the opposite end. Both teams change. And Eden Prairie now giving chase to it. 3-on-3, they come into the zone. Out of the net was Berglove. He plays it. Pass towards the point, deflected out of the zone. Lawrence gives chase for Eden Prairie. Teams trading passes at the neutral zone, in the neutral zone, before Eden Prairie attempts to set something up once again in the corner. This is Jack Sullivan. Eden Prairie can't hold it in the zone. Back the other way comes Springman. Springman from the near side. Shot, glove save made by Gertis. 7:25 to go, first period. Shots, 7 for Elk River, 2 for Eden Prairie. So, as you said, Brett, they're doing a nice job getting 1, maybe 2 shots each time they enter the Eagles' defensive zone. Face off won by Eden Prairie. Shot blocked, and back the other way comes Parrish. Parrish after it. The puck poke checked away by Berglove, who's out of the net. Now he's met with some pressure. That time it was Niederer. Eden Prairie sets up shop once again. Shot blocked in front. Shoe. And Elk River cleans up. They can't get it out of the zone. Snuggerud has it at the right point. His shot up into the net, and we'll have a face-off upcoming. Still no score here for Medina. So as we said, the nightcap is number 5 Edina versus number 13 Grand Rapids. Edina at 4-2, the defending state champions in Class AA. Grand Rapids at 5-1, so should have another competitive game in our nightcap, which I assume will start about 20 minutes following the completion of the opener. Elk River off sides as they bring a 3-on-2 rush into the Eden Prairie zone. Face-off will come right in front of us, just outside the blue line of Eden Prairie.
I'd like to remind you, you can follow us on Twitter. We're at PSBMN, or again, email us in the broadcast booth, psbchannel2@gmail.com, or click on that link on the link on the Game Tracker screen. It's hockey. I'm saying rink instead of link.
That was Jerimko, the leading scorer for Elk River. Tried to get a shot on net, but he fanned on it, and the puck trickled into the crease where Gertis covered for the Eagles.
Gertis hasn't seen a lot of tough shots, but he's been sharp so far, making every save he's supposed to. That one, another good save. Gertis, I think, by far Eden Prairie's best player.
Elk River keeps it in the zone. It's Alex Schwab fighting Shoe behind the net. Spinner, the captain, takes it out of the zone and now sidesteps a man, brings it all the way in, keeps it on his stick. Puck tipped away. Nice defensive play that time by the forward Jerimko. And all of a sudden the other way comes Andrew Zerbin. 1-on-3. Shot. Gets on net, but it was altered by Snuggerud. Nice job of recovering by the senior defenseman. Spinner, his shot in, gloved and dropped by the Elk River goalie. Puck left the zone. Eden Prairie, rather, couldn't keep it in. And there'll be another face-off upcoming right next to the Hornet symbol at center ice.
Maybe see on the tail end of that replay, Snuggerud getting his stick on that last break for Elk River. That's been a part of the game that Luke Snuggerud has really improved on over the past season. Already, of course, going to play Division I hockey for Nebraska Omaha. And adds that defensive part of the game. Certainly will be a good college hockey player as well.
Clays into the zone. He chases after his own pass. Elk River controls easily, flips it up and out of the zone. The other way is Peter Jones. For Elk River, he puts a shot in on Gertis. Gertis elects to cover rather than direct it to his defenseman. And we'll have another face-off in the Eagle zone with 5 minutes and 14 seconds to play here in the first period, and we're still knotted in a scoreless tie. Jones and Niederer on the face-off. Shoe in the corner, and he'll carry it to center ice. Shoe, two Eagles rushing the net. Not sure where the puck is at. I lost track of it.
Yeah, so did I.
Two Elk River players in the crease, one being the goalie, the other being the defenseman, Matt Kerstead. No goal signal given. And we'll have another face-off.
Never good when you see the netminder looking behind his shoulder, wondering where the puck is.
There's another shot deflected off of the blocker of Berglove, nearly trickled into the net. Snuggerud to Shoe to Pager. Pager has it taken away from him. Nice stick move there. Nice shot, just steered wide by Gertis. Play made by Reggie Lutz. Some nifty stick handling there at the blue line to get his teammate Ben Johnson a shot attempt. Puck sent in behind Gertis. It's played by Eden Prairie. Off the boards, all the way out, and it's going to be on icing. Face-off back into the Eden Prairie zone. Shots right now, 10-7 in favor of the Elks. Scoring chances, neither team had really any great chances. Probably give Elk River the edge, I guess probably 2-1 on scoring opportunities. Face-off, Keeley takes it and chases after it for Eden Prairie.
I think they're going to say he pushed that in before he crossed the center red line, so kind of an unusual icing call.
Crowd starting to fill in for matchup of unbeatens here, 2 versus 3. Of course, Edina the host, they'll probably have a relatively full crowd here in the nightcap.
Well, especially against Grand Rapids. That's a historical matchup as those two teams have met in the state tournament a number of times. Always fun to have the small northern school against the big metro school, and definitely anticipating a big crowd for that one. Of course, tomorrow as well, Elk River versus Edina will certainly be a big draw since the Elks beat Edina in the first game of the season.
Keeley plays it off the boards for Eden Prairie. Geisler tried to send it back in, but he ended up knocking it into one of the benches. And we'll have a center ice face-off, 3:32 to play in the first period. Once again, Elk River in white. They're going right to left on your screen here in the first period. Eden Prairie in the black. They are going left to right, and it's in the Eden Prairie offensive zone, but Elk River resets with Kerstead behind the net. Kerstead sends it out to Schwab. Schwab banks it off the near boards and rides into the corner with Clays. This is, I assume, his brother Alex Schwab, also out there. The Eagles rush it in the opposite way. Behind the net is Jack Sullivan. Jack Sullivan leaves it for Clays. Center around Snuggerud, holds it in at the point. Now he'll bring it toward the end line. And Elk River brings it back out, 2-on-2. Johnson and Bunker that was. Shot deflected off the stick of Clays up into the netting. And we'll have yet another face-off, this one being to the left of Jake Gertis.
Now see at the tail end of that play, there's actually an inadvertent screen set by an Eden Prairie player, which actually prevented that from being a 3-on-2 chance for the Elks.
Mark Sullivan to Niederer. Niederer sends it in where Berglove ends up covering for the Elks. Elks' 3 leading scorers from a season ago that returned were Jurimko, Chase Springman, both of which are captains, and Andrew Zerbin, actually all 3 of which are captains. So you can see why this team is loaded with talent, as 3, I believe, of the top 5 leading scorers from a season ago are back for Gordy Roberts and company. Eagles send it into the zone. Just under 2 minutes left in the first period. No score between Elk River and Eden Prairie. Snuggerud brings it to center ice for Eden Prairie and then dumps it down into the end boards. And Snuggerud, after a failed pass, gets it back once again, sends it in. This time the goaltender for Elk River plays it, and here come the Elks, but they miss on a pass, and Eden Prairie holds the zone. Spinner is bumped off the puck. And back the other way comes Alex Schwab. He brings it in. Leaves it for Zerbin, but there's going to be a slashing penalty called on Eden Prairie. We'll see who the stripes get. They're going to take Steven Spinner. So the second penalty of the first period on Eden Prairie. The first one came with just 46 seconds gone by. The last one coming with 1:14 to go. It's Spinner to the box for slashing.
Big test here for Eden Prairie. They did a nice job killing off the first Elk River power play, but as you said, this power play converting coming into the game at 50%, and certainly don't want to give them too many chances.
Kerstead flips it in as Elk River gives chase. Not held into the zone that time by the Elk River defenseman as Keeley brings it the other way shorthanded. His shot up and wide. Costly giveaway that time by the Elks as time is wasting here in the first period and on their power play. Jerimko brings it out. He carries it in on his left-handed stick and resets it back to the point. This is Kerstead. Kerstead to the near side. It's Zerbin. Zerbin across ice to Lutz. Lutz, his shot wide. Zerbin to Kerstead. Here's Lutz again. Another shot high and wide. 9 seconds remaining in the period. Shot off the stick of Snuggerud. It's sent out to center ice where the clock will run out on the opening 17 minutes of play in this first period. So after one period of play, it's number 2 Elk River nothing, number 3 Eden Prairie nothing in the opener of the 32nd annual Edina Holiday Classic. We're back with a recap of the highlights of period 1 in 30 seconds. You're watching high school hockey on PSB.
We're speaking with Rob Friend at the mulch store. Rob, once people have finished up trimming those trees or raking those leaves, how easy is it for them to stop in at the mulch store to drop off those materials, or maybe even pick up some mulch for next year?
Well, if you want to stop in and drop off, you come in, check in at the gate attendant, and they'll point you in the right direction after you pay a small fee. And if you're ready to pick up something to do a final garden or mulch project, pick out the product you want, pay for the fee, and we'll load up a trailer or a pickup truck if you have that. If not, we do have delivery available.
And of course, you guys have locations all over the metro area.
That's right. For locations and more information on delivery, you can check us out at our website, mulchstoremn.com.
Are you sure we should take this billboard down?
People find out State Farm does car loans as well as they do insurance. Our bank is through.
Good point. Grab an edge.
Look, there's 2 guys on the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign.
No, for real, there's 2 dudes on the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign.
Breaking news from the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign.
Seeing 2 men that have climbed the Borrow Better banking sign.
Gentlemen, please get down from the State Farm Borrow Better banking sign. Bill, get the hose.
Okay, he's getting the hose.
All right, let's go.
Talk to a State Farm agent about car loans that can save you hundreds. That's borrowing better.
Visit Brandy Warmbier's State Farm Insurance Office, located off Singletree and Flying Cloud Drive, online at brandywarmbier.com. Think about the best athletes in the world, no matter the sport. How did they rise above the competition? These athletes didn't get to the top of their game on talent alone. They trained hard, and they trained right. PTI will work with your athlete to reach new heights. They'll get a high-level customized program from a skilled professional who truly cares about and understands your athlete's needs. The results at PTI will give your son or daughter the confidence and determination to unleash their full potential. Performance Therapy Innovations, where athletes get results.
All right, and we're back at Braemar Ice Arena, right off U.S. Highway 169 here in Edina. After one period of play, Elk River and Eden Prairie all square right where we started at Bunch of Goose Egg, 0-0. Well, the only highlights really of the period came in the form of penalties. Eden Prairie took 2 of them. First one at the 16-14 mark, so 46 seconds into the contest. Brady Shue was booked 2 minutes for hooking. They did a nice job killing the penalty. I think 3 shots on goal unofficially for the Elks on that first power play, but no goals. And then most recently here, minute 14 to go. So 15:46 into the first period. Steven Spinner booked 2 minutes for slashing. So when we come back out of intermission, the Elks will be on the power play for another 46 seconds in a second period that hopefully will produce a little more offense. I know, Brett, you and I were talking in the break. Started out, looked like Elk River really put the pressure on the Eagles. The Eagles held strong defensively. Then after about that 10-minute mark, both teams played a lot of dump and chase, and neither had very good scoring chances to speak of.
Yeah, neither team really looks 100% crisp so far in this game. Just not a lot of flow overall. As you said, Elk River had the better of the play, really establishing a good forecheck for about the first 8 or 9 minutes. Eden Prairie started to recover a little bit, and from there, he's pretty much just been playing in the neutral zone. As you said, a lot of dump and chase, not a lot of good passing. It's been much more of a grinded out kind of North American style as opposed to the European or Russian wide open style, which I know is kind of the style Eden Prairie likes, playing a little bit more than the physical style. But both teams certainly have some things to say in the locker room, because I think both Lee Smith and Gordy Roberts would agree both of their teams could play a lot better than they are right now.
Yeah, the shots, as we look over to the right here on the board, 11-8 in favor of the Elks. Most of those came, as we touched on, in the first 7 or 8 minutes of the period for Elk River. I think at one point they did have an 8-3 shot advantage, so the Eagles chipped into it just a hair, but the Elks still holding a 3-shot advantage, but neither team really with a sustained amount of scoring chances. We'll see what the Elks can do coming out of the break, where they still have that 5 to 4 man advantage for 46 seconds. So take a 3 or 4 minute break here. Zamboni about halfway home, resurfacing the ice. We'll come back with some area scores from the evening in high school hockey. Once again, after 1 period of play, it's Elk River nothing, Eden Prairie nothing. You're watching high school hockey on PSB. Welcome back to Braemar Ice Arena. Adam Rosso alongside Brett Johnson in the opening contest of this 3-day tournament, round robin style between Elk River, Eden Prairie, Edina, and Grand Rapids. Of course, the Elks and Eagles matching up right now before the nightcap of the host Hornets versus the Thunderhawks of Grand Rapids. So we'll get to some other scores and highlights, just scores and probably just schedule, as we're a little earlier start than usual here as it's approaching the 7 o'clock hour. A couple of games of note here getting underway early. No score update as of yet up at Duluth East, between Duluth East and Anoka. Of course, the Greyhounds falling to Elk River earlier this season. And Brett, you said they lost, I believe, another contest. They've lost twice here in the early goings of 2013. Another one of note, Cloquet, Esco Carleton at Virginia team that was just defeated by, I believe, Grand Rapids.
You are correct. Yeah, that was, I think, a 6-1 win for Grand Rapids.
Coon Rapids is at Andover. Let's see here. Holy Family at Mound West Tonka, Hastings and Mounds View. Trying to look for any other top teams in action.
Not quite the schedule we had last week, but we had like 5 or 6 games involving top 15 teams.
Top-ranked Hill Murray is hosting South St. Paul, number 1 in Class 2A.
Oh, I'm looking as well. Yeah, I guess the other one, White Bear Lake at Stillwater, is usually a big matchup, but a little bit of a down night in terms of...
And I would say the focus, the quality of play is right in front of us here in Edina. Of course, like we said, 3 top 5 teams, all 4 squads in the top 13 of the state. I think a combined 5 losses between the 3 schools. So some great hockey on deck, both this evening and then Friday night, and finishing up Saturday evening. Go through the schedule quick while we have a second. So tonight, the nightcap, like I've said, Edina hosting Grand Rapids. Then tomorrow, the early game, Eden Prairie once again takes part in that. They'll play Grand Rapids at 6. Elk River and Edina match up at 8:30, a rematch of the season opener, in which Elk River downed the Hornets. And then the final day, Saturday, right back here at the West Arena at Braemar. Those of you who are familiar with the arena, we're on the West Arena. The JV is in the south. Grand Rapids plays the early game against Elk River, and the nightcap is Edina versus the Eden Prairie Eagles as Elk River. And their players get back onto the ice as we're approaching the second period of action. Once again, no score between the Eagles and the Elks. We'll see who comes out, or we'll see if Elk River, I should say, comes out with the 46-second man advantage. We'll see what they do, see if they can get an early goal and kind of get, I think they would relax a little bit and put the pressure on Eden Prairie, a team that, other than the Jefferson game, I don't think they've really trailed much in the latter stages of contests.
Yeah, the only thing that was close was a surprisingly close game with Rosemount that they had this season, but even in that one, it was a 5-4 victory for Eden Prairie. They led the entire way and actually scored with 5 seconds left on the late Steven Spinner goal to win the game, but that's about all they've had.
I don't think they've trailed. I'm pretty sure the Eagles have not trailed entering the third period yet this season. They did trail Jefferson, but scored 2 goals relatively early in that contest you and I did last week. So, we'll see. It could be unfamiliar territory for the Eagles, who's probably played a little bit lighter of a schedule than the Elks, of course, already having played Edina and Duluth East, 2 very strong teams traditionally and this season in high school hockey.
And, of course, that schedule gets a lot tougher for Eden Prairie playing in the Lake Conference when they take on the likes of Wayzata, Edina, and Minnetonka. Also have 2 matchups with Benilde St. Margaret's this season. Elk River, they'll also have some tough matchups on their schedule. Once they get in Northwest Suburban Conference play, they'll see the likes of Centennial and Blaine, who are 2 very talented teams as well. So a lot of good hockey still to come for both teams.
Teams flip side, this is Elk River bringing it to the right side of your screen as they set up shop on the man advantage. Behind the net is Springman. Springman now has it. Back to the point is Kerstead. Kerstead takes a return pass, shoots, shot on net, saved by Gertis. Keeley takes it out of the zone as he has a convoy coming with him. Snuggerud holds it in the zone. Also with him was Schmidt. So the Elks get one shot on goal on the 46-second power play that was on the Spinner slashing play. We're bringing it into the zone, this time Jarimko. And Shue has it as the Elks change for the first time in the second period.
You got to be really impressed with the penalty kill for the Eagles. Again, Elk River converting at 50% coming into the game, but not only have the Elks gone 0 for 2 on a power play, not many good chances either.
Ben Johnson brings it in. Shot up near the face of Gertis. He couldn't control it. And it's sent down all the way to the corner where it's going to be touched for icing. Elk River, a couple early shots here in the second period, and they'll get a face-off to the right of Jake Gertis.
I have a message from Aaron Morum, who's listening to the game. Just wanted to let us know that they updated the rankings. I forgot to have the updated ones on our game tracker screen where Eden Prairie's 3 and Elk River's 2. I believe on the website I have the new ones, but got that just updated. Don't want to cut either team short with a number 2 versus number 3 matchup. Don't often see that during the regular season. So thanks for listening, Aaron.
Here come the Eagles into the offensive zone for the first time. That's Mike Parrish. Behind the net is Pager. Pager now has it, centers it to the stick of the netminder Berglove. He elects to dive and cover. And Eden Prairie gets the first face-off in the Elk River zone in this second stanza. Spinner and Jones. Spinner wins a draw. Snuggerud from the point. Shot wide. Ricochets hard off the boards.
Yeah, that took a really funny bounce and almost worked out in EP's favor.
Snuggerud into a deflection, and it's a goal. Shot up high. Looked like it deflected actually off somebody's body. I'm not sure if we got the replay on that one.
Yeah, we have that if I can get it to come on up.
Snuggerud took the initial shot.
I'll get up to Snuggerud right now on the replay. Oh, yeah, I think it hit someone, I think an Eden Prairie player out there in front, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to wait for the official word.
Well, they're going to give Snuggerud the goal.
Funny because he had a play like that in their last game against Cretin Durham Hall where Kevin and I thought for sure Snuggerud's shot was tipped in front, but he got credit for that goal as well. I'm with you though, Adam. I really thought that was tipped by the Eden Prairie player sitting down there in that lower slot area.
So Snuggerud tallies his 4th goal of the year, 13th point. That leads the Eagles. And Eden Prairie gets on the board first in this top 5 matchup. Back the other way come the Elks. Shot save made by Gertis. Spinner crosses it into the Elk River zone where Bowden bats it down and now attempts a pass out of the zone, but Spinner knocks it down, keeps it in for Eden Prairie. This is Bowden again. He sends it over to Springman. Springman sends it down off the ref's hand and into the corner. Both teams change.
Interesting stat about Luke Snuggerud, I was going to say, Adam. He's now had, dating back to last season, 19 of his last 21 games where he's had at least 1 point.
Yeah, he's been the, as I said earlier, the catalyst for this team along with Spinner, and he does it once again. Took a hard shot, got the puck back, and took another shot. It's deflected off of somebody. Must have been judged to deflect off an Elk River player. But went up over the shoulder of Berglove and into the net.
With the way the game's kind of gone, it's fitting that the only goal would be scored in an ugly fashion. It's not really been a very crisp game so far, even here into the second period, but take those goals any way you can get them.
Eagles forecheck behind the Elk River net. It was Graham and Sullivan. Puck gets to center ice, but not any further as Graham stops it for the Eagles. A couple players collide. This is Graham again. Graham brings it in. Backhand shot up high, deflected by Bowden. And Bowden takes it out and crosses center ice as he dumps it into the Eagles' zone. Pass up ahead, tipped. And Eden Prairie will get the change as it was close to being an ice, but they did say that Schmidt was across the dotted line at center ice. With his zone. Shot backhand. Pad save made that time off the stick of Parrish. Berglove right there for it. Eden Prairie doing a much better job in this second period, getting some scoring chances.
Establishing a forecheck, too. I don't think they really had any forecheck established in that first period, but come out with a lot more energy here in the second.
Shot, blocker save made. And Elk River is going to get their first penalty of the evening. We'll see who the referee brings to the box. It's going to be number 5, Jake Jerimko. Didn't see the call.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not very surprised to see it because at the end of the first period, heading into the second intermission, Lee Smith was really giving it to the official before they went into the locker room, so a little talking may have paid off, and it's the first Eden Prairie power play of the game. Yeah, I'm with you, though. I didn't see the penalty either.
Call was interference. I think after the Eden Prairie player took the shot, it looked like Jerimko stepped in and inhibited him from being able to take it into the zone further. A spinner winds and fires. Beautiful glove save by a sprawling Berglove. Watch the replay. Spinner lined it up, had plenty of time. Nice glove save to his left side by Mac Berglove.
And what an accurate shot, too, as he had an Elk River player right in front of him.
Spinner again. This shot is blocked and cleared out of the zone. Nice play that time by Colton Boudreau, senior defenseman for the Elks. Snuggerud has the goal. He brings it into the zone along with Plays. Plays hit hard into the boards. That's Boudreau again. So the senior defenseman trying to spark the Elks, who are down a goal in this second period. Halfway through the man advantage, Eagles. Luke Snuggerud brings it into the offensive zone along with Spinner, Graham, Pager, and Parrish. This is Parrish to Snuggerud. Snuggerud, low shot, deflected, and sent out of the zone. So the Elk River defensemen not allowing the shots to get through like they did on the previous scoring chances for the Eagles. Another clearing attempt. That time it was Boudreau sending it cross ice. 16 seconds on the power play. 10 minutes to go in the second period. Eden Prairie with the only goal of the game. It's 1-0 Eagles. Shu rushes it in. Puck held at the line. This is Schmidt. He fires it into the glove. Another nice save by the senior netminder, Mac Berglove. And with 4 seconds remaining in the 5-on-4 power play, faceoff will be coming to the right of Elk River's netminder.
Well, if there's one thing we've learned on this power play, you're not going to meet Berglove by going on his low glove side. 2 very nice saves on this power play for the Elk River goaltender.
So the Elks hold strong on their penalty kill, and we're back at even strength. Bouncing puck sent into the zone, chased after by Geisler. Geisler, in front of the Eden Prairie bench. Now it's Keeley. Keeley back to Ridland. And Elk River sends it behind Gertis as this pass off the target. And it'll go all the way down to the opposite end. Icing, face-off upcoming in the Eden Prairie zone. 9:13 to go, second period. 1-0 Eden Prairie on a Luke Snuggerud goal that came at the 2:07 mark of this second period. Face-off won that time. Shot went all the way through Gertis. Didn't know if he saw that one or not, but it was wide. Snuggerud after it against Springman. Elks can't hold it in at the blue line. Back the other way comes Schmidt. Schmidt looking, shot.
Wow.
Right on the tape, but wide. Shu has it. He fires deflected off into the boards.
What a great pass by Colton Schmidt to get that to Keeley. He just couldn't quite get that trip to work right in front of the net. Great pass, though, by one of the leading Eden Prairie seniors on the team.
Jones sends it in for the Elks. Snuggerud plays it for the Eagles. Keeley bounces off the boards, but not out. Nice job by Elk River holding it in, but the Eagles gain possession into the offensive zone. Centering pass, nobody home. Sent back into the Elk River zone as the Eagles make a line change. Here's a pass all the way up ahead. It's Lutz. Lutz dipsy-doos at the blue line before being hit. Sends a shot on net. It's saved by Gertis. We'll have yet another face-off in front of Jake Gertis. It will be Jerimko versus Clays in the circle. Won by Jerimko. Shot off of a skate. And now into the corner come both players. Clays sends it up ahead to Graham. Graham, the sophomore, brings it across the blue line. Leaves it off. Shot. Pad save that time made on Mark Sullivan's shot attempt.
I'm not sure Berglove was ready for that shot. He was in a really awkward position, but luckily for him, Sullivan's shot went right into the pad after a great drop pass by the sophomore Michael Graham for Eden Prairie.
Mark Sullivan sends it back around behind the net as Lawrence having trouble with it. Nearly has a costly giveaway. Clays comes back to rescue him and gets the puck out of the zone. Clays now has it to the left of Gertis. Shot deflected, almost. Becomes goal number 2 for Eden Prairie. Eagles hold it in. Now Bowden sends it up ahead. 2-on-1 developing here. Elk River shot off a blocker and high. Time it was Jerimko. The point, it's Bowden. Bowden to the near side, it's Gonrowski. Shot wide, that might have hit some pipe.
I heard a pipe too.
Gonrowski again, stick save high up into the air after it is Jerimko. He maintains possession. Puck then finally cleared by Eden Prairie. Fast moving second period, 6:29 to go. Still 1-0 Eden Prairie. Back comes Elk River. Bringing it into the zone is Kerstead. Kerstead ridden off the boards a couple times, has a stick taken away, no call. And the puck sent out, and this will be an icing call on Eden Prairie. Much better flow to this second period, Brett.
Absolutely, I was just going to make that comment as well. First few minutes still looked a little choppy, but the last 5 minutes, both teams creating some good offensive chances. And definitely has made this a very entertaining game, still 1-0.
Another face-off win by the Elks. Shot sent in, but wide, controlled by Snuggerud. After it is Shu. Shu gets ridden hard into the boards. There's going to be a penalty from the back referee that time.
Sure, that'll thrill the Eden Prairie bench, but
2 minutes high stick.
Let's see if we can grab the penalty here. And I'm sorry, it was against Elk River, I should say.
High sticking call on number 29, Grant Bunker. will be rough, not a high stick, and Eden Prairie on their second power play of the period. Snuggerud to Spinner. Spinner's shot blocked and sent out by Boudreaux. His third block shot of a Steven Spinner attempt. Nice job by the Elk River defense.
Yeah, good job to stay in those shooting lanes. They've blocked a couple of shots on the power plays so far. As penalty kills for both squads, definitely more impressive than the power plays. Except for a couple of low glove side shots, Eden Prairie hasn't had many chances on the power play as well.
Snuggerud takes a wrister. That one flutters high. Spinner has it to the left on your screen. Shot, save made, rebound is loose, and Elk River gets it out. The initial shot came from Snuggerud. Rebound was there, but nobody home for the Eagles. Spinner brings it in, centers it to Graham. Graham along the near boards to Spinner. Spinner. Now Snuggerud. Snuggerud down to Graham. Graham. This is Spinner in the circle. Looking. Centering pass on the tape of Clays, but he was tied up with an Elk River defenseman. Snuggerud holds. Shot. Save made. Berglove. Rebound controlled by Clays, but behind the net. Snuggerud to Parrish. Parrish back to Snuggerud. Snuggerud winds. Fires high over the glove side.
Even if they don't score, this has been a great power play for the Eagles.
Snuggerud again. Parrish takes a shot. Spinner near side. Shot blocked again. Boy, oh boy. Boudreaux has had Spinner's number on that power play. Fourth block shot of the period.
Was that Boudreaux that blocked the shot? He's got Spinner's number for sure. You're right.
Puck to center ice, played by the Eagles. Deflected and then held by Pager. Pager back to Rindlin. Rindlin sends it down. This should be an icing, and it is. 3:24 to go in our second period. Eden Prairie with the only goal. It came at the 2:07 mark of this period. Luke Snuggerud tallied his fourth of the season. Assist came from Colton Schmidt. Snuggerud from Schmidt at 2:07, and that's how we're at a 1-0 Eagles advantage. Held in. Shot, save made, Gertis. Springman to Geisler. Geisler's shot was deflected just wide. Springman fighting for the puck. He comes out of it, now brings it to center ice. Shot deflected a couple times in front. Rebound, shot, score! Reggie Lutz with the goal.
You can see that one coming. Elk River had finally gotten a forecheck established, putting on all sorts of pressure. After an initial shot took some deflections, they're able to tie this game up here at 1. We'll grab it on our replay. Yeah, loose puck came free that Eden Prairie wasn't able to clear, and a backhand shot by Lutz ties this game up at 1.
Jones will get the first assist. We'll see if we get a second helper. They'll give Geisler as Elk River right back at it off the face-off after the goal. Geisler will get the second assist for Elk River. As here's Graham in. Hard charging puck deflected. Out of it comes Springman, the captain for Elk River. He leaves it for Peter Jones. Jones to the point, puck off a stick and back to center ice. 2:14 to play. Once again, that goal off the stick of Reggie Lutz. I believe that could be his first goal of the year.
That it was. He was not listed, at least on our Hockey Hub rosters and stats, and heard from an Elk River media person that he's, I believe, the son of One of the producers for FSN, little fun fact there.
Back the other way, comes in. Breakaway shot wide off the stick of Zerbin. Golden opportunity for the Elks. Zerbin shot just wide. He has it again. Circles. Well, loses it into the corner. Sidestep Snugger. Nice move. He still maintains possession, does Zerbin. Opposite point is Bowden. Drimko now takes a shot low. Stick save, Gertis. Covered Gertis. 1:16 to play. We're all square at 1. This second half of the second period is the type of hockey we expected coming into the evening.
Absolutely. This is turned into a really entertaining game, even all around. We're, of course, 1-1 on the scoreboard. Shots on goal, 23-21 in favor of the Elks. Power plays even.
Shot from the point comes up high, rolls along the boards, does the puck all the way into the Elk River zone. Pass too far. They're going to wave off the icing as a player from each team gives chase. Big hit at the blue line, that time delivered by the Elks on Jack Sullivan as he was flattened to the ice. Puck unable to be held in by Eden Prairie. Giving chase for the Eagles is Clays. Clays has it. He's shadowed by Geisler. Puck behind the net, played by Bunker of the Elks. And now Geisler takes it out of there, sends it across to Bowden. And Elk River tried for one more rush. 15 seconds to go in the period. Puck shot into the corner. They'll change. Snuggery takes it the other way. Eden Prairie trying to counter. 6 seconds to go. Puck sent in, directed to the corner by Berglov, and that's how our second period will come to a close. Very, very entertaining second half of this middle period. So after 34 minutes of play, we're right back where we started. Eden Prairie 1, Elk River 1. Zamboni will resurface the ice. We'll come back with scores and highlights from that second period. Once again, you're watching the Edina Holiday Classic on PSB.
I think I have the window seat.
You better double check that, my friend. Don't think we don't know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Rodgers.
No, that's not it. You're that State Farm discount double check guy. Discount double check. Thanks to the hundreds you saved us, we could upgrade the grill class.
Grill class?
Your tongs are in your seat back.
Save with the discount double check today. Get to a better state. State Farm.
Visit Brandy Warmbier State Farm Insurance Office, located off Singletree and Flying Cloud Drive, online at brandywarmbier.com. Stay current on what's going on in your local community. The Sun Current is a local community newspaper that serves several communities in the Southwest Metro, including Eden Prairie, Edina, and Bloomington. The Sun Current will keep you up to date with the latest comings and goings on your school board, city council, arts and entertainment, and community events. And make sure you check out their in-depth high school sports coverage featuring weekly articles on Eden Prairie, Edina, Jefferson, and Kennedy. From football and hockey to tennis and swimming, the Sun Current has your favorite team covered. Keep it local and visit the Sun Current website at current.mnsun.com. We're speaking with Rob Friend at the mulch store. Rob, once people have finished up trimming those trees or raking those leaves, how easy is it for them to stop in at the mulch store to drop off those materials, or maybe even pick up some mulch for next year?
Well, if you want to stop in and drop off, you come in, check in at the gate attendant, and they'll point you in the right direction after you pay a small fee. And if you're ready to pick up something to do a final garden or mulch project, pick out the product you want, pay for the fee, and we'll load up a trailer or a pickup truck if you have that. If not, we do have delivery available.
And of course, you guys have locations all over the metro area.
That's right. For locations and more information on delivery, you can check us out at our website, mulchstoremn.com.
Think about the best athletes in the world, no matter the sport. How did they rise above the competition? These athletes didn't get to the top of their game on talent alone. They trained hard, and they trained right. PTI will work with your athlete to reach new heights. They'll get a high-level customized program from a skilled professional who truly cares about and understands your athlete's needs. The results at PTI will give your son or daughter the confidence and determination to unleash their full potential. Performance Therapy Innovations, where athletes get results.
Welcome back to Braemar Arena in Edina. Adam Rosso alongside Brett Johnson for the opening game of the 2013 Edina Holiday Classic. And we're in a dandy thus far. Eden Prairie, the third-ranked team in Class 2A, all knotted at 1 with the second-ranked team in Class 2A, the Elk River Elks. Scoring in the second period was opened up by Luke Snuggerud, the Eagles captain. His fourth goal of the season came at the 2:07 mark. Assists were Colton Schmidt. Schmidt tallying his 6th assist of the season. That opened the scoring and gave the Eagles an early 1-0 lead in this second period. Then gameplay really picked up, and at the 14:08 mark, Elk River, after a sustained period of time in the Eden Prairie zone, finally put one past Jake Gertis. 14:08 mark, scoring on it was Reggie Lutz. I about said Riley. Reggie Lutz, the junior forward for the Elks. His first goal of the season. Assist came off of the sticks of Peter Jones and Jack Geisler. And that knotted our score at 1. Both teams had a couple more chances later in that period, were unable to capitalize. So after a competitive couple periods, we're tied at 1, looking into a very, very intriguing third period. Penalties in that period. Elk River took both of them. Interference and a roughing call. First, the interference call at 11:45 of the period was assessed to Jake Jerimko, and the second was a roughing call assessed to Grant Bunker, both of which the Elks were able to kill, and neither team able to convert on either of their power play chances thus far. Both squads 0 for 2. Shots on goal that period, relatively even. Eden Prairie with a 2-shot advantage, 14-12 overall, 23-22 in favor of Elk River. We'll take another 3 or 4 minute break, come back with scores from around the state and some analysis setting up to what should be a great third period here from Edina. Once again, after 2 periods of play, it's Eden Prairie 1, Elk River 1. We're back in a couple minutes. You're watching high school hockey on PSB.
And we're joined by Rob Friend at the Mulch Store. Rob, a lot of people are finishing up those fall projects, whether it's trimming trees or getting rid of all those leaves. What can people do with those materials once they're done?
Well, they can bring their yard waste into any of our locations and dispose of it for a small fee. And after it's disposed of, we then process it and turn it into compost.
It's also a very easy, straightforward process to stop in at any of those Mulch Store locations, correct?
You just pull into any of the sites, you check in with the gate attendant and pay your small fee, and you're all set to go.
And if people would like more information about the great products and services the Mulch Store offers, what's your website?
mulchstoremn.com.
Think about the best athletes in the world, no matter the sport. How did they rise above the competition? These athletes didn't get to the top of their game on talent alone. They trained hard, and they trained right. PTI will work with your athlete to reach new heights. They'll get a high-level customized program from a skilled professional who truly cares about and understands your athlete's needs. The results at PTI will give your son or daughter the confidence and determination to unleash their full potential. Performance Therapy Innovations, where athletes get results.
Elk River and Eden Prairie all knotted at 1, heading to the third period of play. We will check the out-of-town scoreboard here as quite a few games have now started as we're past 7:30 on this Thursday evening, December 19th. One score late, actually started earlier than we did, later in the third period. Duluth East all over Anoka 5-1. The Hounds look like they are going to notch a win over the Tornadoes of Anoka. Early second period action, Waconia and Delano all tied at 1. Holy Angels and Red Wing also early second period. That's a 2-0 advantage in favor of the Stars over the Wingers. Orono 2, Providence Academy 0. That one just getting underway in period 2. And then a couple scores from North Central Minnesota. Brainerd 2, Fergus Falls 0. That's at the end of one period of play. And Monticello leads Cambridge Isanti 1-0, that one also in the first intermission. So, Brett, what are you expecting out of both these teams in the third period? It looks like, I think, like we talked, both squads kind of found their rhythm in that period, which made for some entertaining hockey late in the second period.
Yeah, it's really even between these two teams, even on the scoreboard, even in terms of shots on goal. I think it could come down to the goaltending. Gertis and Berglove, I wouldn't say struggled towards the end of the second period, but I know there was one chance where Berglove was surprised by a shot from, I think it was Colton Schmidt on a big slap shot. Gertis also has given up a couple of rebounds, so I think it will depend on whichever one can really batten down the hatches. It feels like one of those games that could be a 2-1 kind of final score, maybe 3-2. Don't really expect us to get more than 3 goals with the way the game is going, but it could be one of those funny bounces that ends up winning the game. It really feels like that, and it's whichever goaltender I think can stay sharp and not give up a big rebound or can also prevent those funny bounces.
And I also think a key could be the special teams, if you will, the penalty kill or the power play. When each team's been on the man advantage, they've had some chances. Of course, Berglove making a couple nice glove save on Spinner and another Eden Prairie shot attempt on that power play. And then earlier in the first period, we saw Gertis get challenged a couple times, make a couple pad saves, a couple stick saves. So I think an early penalty and an early man advantage could really put the pressure on a goaltender, that's not used to being in these close games, because like we said in the open, neither team really played a ton of close games, and if you have to give an edge to either of them, you probably give it to Elk River, since they did play a one-goal game against Duluth East, and then I think the Edina score was 3-1. So they definitely had a little more experience in this early part of their schedule playing close games. That's not to say Eden Prairie, a lot of veterans on the team, not to say they're not used to it, but just might be unfamiliar territory this season for Lee Smith's squad.
Yeah, and even to expand on that point, talking about how the Eagles haven't made in many close games, even their one close one against Rosemount 5-4. Gertis actually didn't play in that game. It was Evers, the backup goaltender, who got the start in that one. So that's another storyline too. Gertis hasn't been in a close game really. And as you said, Berglove maybe a little bit more tested. You talked about that 3-1 victory over Edina, even though that's a 2-goal victory. Anything you play with the Hornets is going to be high pressure, so you wonder if he might have the edge in that department so far.
So we'll take another minute or two break. Team's just about set to get back on the ice before the puck drops for the third and final period here from Edina. Once again, our score, Eden Prairie 1, Elk River 1. We're back in 2 minutes. This is high school hockey on PSB. Welcome back to Edina, Elk River, and Eden Prairie locked in a good one as we're set for the third period of play between the Eagles and the Elks. Face-off won by Eden Prairie. Shu up ahead to Schmidt, who directs it. In behind the netminder, Berglove. Big hit in the corner that time. Puck trickling out. It's deflected straight up into the rafters as another Eagle hit the deck. Couple big hits starting out the third period for Elk River.
I was talking about how it's going to be whichever goalie sees the puck better. Even on that one, even though that puck went into the rafters, Berglund didn't know where the puck was either, as Berglund was looking up into the air. Fortunately for him, wasn't on the ice or in the back of the net.
Spinner wins another face-off. Shu over to Snuggerud. He has the goal for Eden Prairie. Sends a backhand in front of the net, which is controlled by Elk River. Back the other way comes Zerbin. Zerbin after it. To the point. This is Kerstead. Kerstead, a shot. Not on net that time by Boudreau. Colton Schmidt brings it the other way. Boudreau bodies him up as both players head into the corner. Kerstead back to Boudreau. Snuggerud keeps it in the zone. Puck flipped into the air. There's Boudreau and Schmidt after it. Keeley now for Eden Prairie. Gives to Spinner. Spinner to Snuggerud. Snuggerud, wrist shot deflected unknowingly by Schmidt. And the puck now taken out by Zerbin of Elk River. Controlled. This is Jerimko. Jerimko looking. Fires it on net. Low glove side. Save made by Gertis. For the Eagles. Faceoff will come right in front of us. Left circle, right side of Gertis. Johnson wins it for Elk River. Back to the point to Bowden. A shot sent into the corner. Played along the boards by the Eagles and out. Controlled by Jack Sullivan. He then gives it up at center ice. Graham, the sophomore, controls. Over to Mark Sullivan, the junior. Puck sent in. I think this will be icing. No, it's not. It was tipped by Eden Prairie at the line. Nice play that time to get it out of the zone up to Ben Johnson as he skates in front of us on the near boards. Pair of 20s go down to the ice. Johnson gets back up for Elk River. He has it along with Bunker. Bunker and Johnson. Now it's Johnson. After it is Rindlin for the Eagles. Elk River plays it as Graham chases after it. Bowden controls the puck. Now to center ice come the Elks. Lutz. He centers it across. Shot, save, rebound. Loose in front. A couple good attempts that time. Shot came from Springman. Rebound by Jones. But Jake Gertis made the play. Here's a bouncing puck. We're going to have a penalty on Eden Prairie. It's going to be Harry Pager booked as he was fighting after it, trying to loosen the puck from the defenseman. 2 minutes for hooking. And that'll be the third penalty of the evening for the Eagles. Pager will go at the 2:57 mark.
Well, eventually you would think with Elk River's very strong power play, they might eventually get on the scoreboard, but so far, Eden Prairie penalty kill definitely has had the better of the special teams play. And Elk River's had the man advantage.
Zerbin. Cross ice to Lutz. Lutz to Zerbin. Zerbin shot up high off a shoulder and then off the back of the post. And puck comes back to Kerstead, the sophomore. His shot low and wide. Lutz keeps it in. Zerbin on the left side. Taken away by Spinner. Potential shorthanded opportunity. Here comes Steven Spinner, the captain. Shot scored! One-man show that time by Steven Spinner. Got the takeaway, beat the defenseman, and went glove side past Mac Berglove on a quick wrist shot. Watch the replay on this one, folks. Beautiful goal by the senior.
Wow, is all I got to say. Picking the pocket there of the Elk River player, making a great move around him. Wasn't the prettiest stick handle ever, but it worked for him. And a shorty for the Eagles. I believe that's their first of the season.
Unassisted goal at the 3:33 mark of the third, and Eden Prairie gets back on top 2-1. Elk River still on the power play. Almost. Wow. Beautiful pass that time, just missed Chase Springman, who had an open half of the net. Here's a shot, glove save made by Gertis, shot attempt by Kerstead.
Boy, that little tic-tac-toe chance Elk River had a second ago nearly worked for him. Let's grab that here on replay. So you can see them send that down low towards the face-off circle. It went through the legs, it looked like, of that Elk River player who was sitting open in front of the slot.
Springman to his fellow captain, Zerbin. Kerstead shot, save made on the rebound as well. That was Springman taking a hack at it. Initial shot came from Kerstead. Elk River getting some shots on goal, and then Gertis giving up the rebounds, but thus far they haven't hurt the Eden Prairie goaltender.
Yeah, you're right, though. Gertz has given up some rebounds. Beginning of the power play, he gave one up just before Steven Spinner had the shorthanded goal. There's a key, though. It looks like he's at least deflecting those rebounds to the sides. If you deflect those rebounds in front, you're, of course, asking for trouble.
Zerbin. He's being hounded by an Eden Prairie defender. Zerbin still has it, breaks out of it, but then sets it up for Spinner, who fires the shot down ice. 20 seconds to go on the power play for Elk River. As they bring it in the zone 3-on-2. Shot low and wide off the stick of Jones. Kept in at the point, Kerstead. Zerbin, now it's Jones. Jerimko looking. He's at the far circle. Back to Jones. Shot, glove. Save made again, Gertis. That time, Kerstead. So that shot looked like it actually was going wide. Gertis came out at the top of the crease and made the glove save anyway. 11:54 to go in this third period. 2-1 in favor of Eden Prairie.
And don't forget, we have the next game here at the Edina Holiday Classic that we're looking forward to. Edina Grand Rapids. Looking at the time right now, I'm guessing the scheduled time is 8:30. I'm guessing we're not going to be playing, though, probably till about 8:45 or 9.
Elks unable to hold the zone. Eden Prairie takes it out, nursing a 1-goal lead. Mark Sullivan sends it in. Berglove to play it. Leadens. Now a puck sent into the Elk River student section.
I had a tweet from our friends over at Follow the Puck who give us a lot of scores, and they were commenting that not a huge turnout here for a number 2 versus number 3 matchup. I have to agree, we're maybe about a third of the way full, but it's a Thursday night. Sure, it'll be packed on the weekend, and certainly a lot of people will be in to see the Edina Grand Rapids game.
Eagles with possession and the lead. Clays taps it around the net. Giving chase was Graham. Clays again. He's ridden hard into the near side boards by Bowden. Here's a slap shot wide off the stick of Sullivan. Graham behind the net once again. Eagles doing a nice job keeping the puck and maintaining the pressure on the Elk River D. Sullivan, shot blocked. This is Graham. Clay is knocked down in front of the net. He's going to get a penalty called on him. He was hit hard from behind by an Elk River defensemen patrolling the net. So Eden Prairie with a goal lead, and now they'll be up a man.
Yeah, see a pretty clear there on the power play. Throwing him to the ice with nobody around. That's about as easy an interference call as you'll ever make.
Penalty on number 8, Dylan Bowden, the junior defenseman. Comes at 10:29 mark of the third period. Snuggerud controls the draw, but then as his pass tipped away, critical penalty kill right now for the Elks. Down 2-1. They cannot afford to go down by a 2-goal score.
Yeah, it just feels like it's one of those games where no one's going to score more than 3 goals. It would seem to be insurmountable if Eden Prairie were to pop one in here on the power play.
Snuggerud to Spinner. Those are your goal scorers for the Eagles. Spinner has his pocket pick. Back the other way comes Johnson. He's caught up to by Snuggerud. Nice play by Luke. And Eagles attempt once again to set up the power play.
They need to get a little more urgency here on this power play for the Eagles. It's easy once you get that 2-1 lead to maybe let up a little bit with a man advantage with under 10 minutes to go in the third period. But Elk River more than capable of tying the game. We'll see if they pick up the pace a little bit here with the man advantage.
Yeah, we're halfway home on the power play. They haven't set up any sort of special team set as of yet. Spinner brings it in. He is leveled that time by Boudreau. Huge hit. But the Eagles maintain possession. Snuggerud shot, blocker save, rebound, and down goes Spinner again. This time they're going to get him.
You gotta get a whistle.
Whistle, and there. Well, they're going to be a 6-on-4 man advantage until...
Wow, what a smart play by Luke Snuggerud to pass that to the Elk River player and get the whistle.
Yep, I was just looking down at my play, but we saw that in the Bloomington-Jefferson Eden Prairie game where Jefferson had potential for a 2-man advantage. They kept the puck. Eden Prairie didn't touch up, and then the 2-man advantage was only for 15-20 seconds, and it ended up being, in favor of Eden Prairie.
I think we're going to get a timeout here on the ice. I'm not sure which side called it, but in either position, I like the timeout, though. This is maybe the most critical 29 seconds of the game, getting a 5-on-3. Give you a chance to get your best players on the ice, and I think that's exactly what Lee Smith did. He had that first power play unit on the ice for most of the 5-on-4 power play, so he figures let's give the big boys a rest and see if we can pop something in with your top unit with 29 seconds of 5-on-3. And
boy, you wonder how Steven Spinner's doing. He's leaning on the glass right now. He got leveled twice. He got knocked off his skates once against the boards, and then that final time with a cross check up into his chest. So the captain's got to be feeling it a little bit, but man, a golden opportunity now for the Eagles. 29 seconds of a 5-on-3, and then another minute 31 of a 5-on-4. So we thought it was crunch time here the last minute 31 on the 1-man advantage. It's really crunch time for the Elks with a 2-man deficit here.
And on the other hand, if Elk River were to kill off both these penalties, what momentum would that give them? Especially, too, with 2 straight penalties called on the Elks. Usually it's the nature of hockey where the referee will call a penalty the other way. So this is really, really critical for both squads.
5-on-3 for another 20 seconds. Luke Snuggerud brings it into the Elk River zone. Well, he stops, controls.
And the Elks, a great job to waste about 10 seconds on that 5-on-3 just a second ago.
Mark Sullivan leaves it for Snuggerud, over to Spinner. Spinner back to Snuggerud. Shot is wide. Tapped out. Snuggerud holds. 5-on-3 advantage is down to 5-on-4. Snuggerud down to Schmidt. Graham now in the slot. He circles the faceoff circle. Shot deflected up high. So as we saw on the original man advantage, not a lot of chances and not even a lot of set plays yet being really developed by Eden Prairie.
And the key to that 5-on-3 was Elk River pushing the puck out of the zone on the initial faceoff. That wasted at least 10 to 12 seconds. Big faceoff win for the Elks a moment ago. We'll see if they can do it again against Spinner, who's been great in the faceoff circle for Eden Prairie.
Clays to Snuggerud. Snuggerud to Parrish. Parrish to Snuggerud. Here is Snuggerud at the point. His shot up high. And nice play that time by Boudreau, who's been all over the place on these penalty kills. He taps it down ice, and Eden Prairie forced to reload with 50 seconds to go on the power play.
Yeah, Boudreau might as well start doing the old Dikembe Mutombo finger shake whenever he blocks a shot. He's done that so often on the power play, at least 4 or 5 of them in the game so far.
Spinner. Cross ice to Parrish. Snuggerud directing it at the point. He sends one into the slot off the stick of Graham. Eden Prairie still controls. Parrish to Schmidt. Schmidt. Spinner on the far boards. Sends nice pass. Shot up high and wide. Parrish had to reload. It was a golden opportunity.
Parrish had the whole net to shoot at.
Beautiful pass by Spinner. Parrish unable to control.
We're going to catch that briefly on the replay as Eden Prairie goes in transition. So he had a lot of the net to shoot at.
So the Elks kill off both penalties. 6:50 to go. And we'll see what they can do with that momentum. Down a goal. There's a giveaway in their zone. Eden Prairie rushing the net. Puck is loose. A couple players after it. It's Keeley and Pager. Berglove covers. 6:39 now on the clock.
See goals. If this, yeah, go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say the go-ahead goal. Steven Spinner shorthanded, coming at the 3:33 mark of this period, and that's our difference in the contest.
I got a comment. It's interesting to see if Elk River's able to draw a penalty here in the last few minutes. Again, the nature of hockey, where if you have 3 penalties or so called against the same team in a row, usually one goes the other way.
Jones sends it on net. Gertis steers it into the corner. Elks hold the zone. And now it's controlled by Eden Prairie as Pager brings it to center ice. Keeley after it with Bowden. Snuggerud bumped off at center ice by Springman. And here comes Peter Jones. Dumps it in. After it is Springman for the Elks. Snuggerud controls up ahead to Schmidt. Boy, it seems like every time there's a neutral ice play, Snuggerud is in the right place at the right time. Here's a goal chance in front. As a couple players were fighting after it. It was Graham and Boudreau. Didn't see quite how the puck trickled in front of the net. Let's see if we got that on replay.
It was a one-timer to Colton Schmidt, and the puck just sat there and sat there and sat there. Referee eventually lost sight of it, and that's why we got the whistle blown.
Spinner gives chase. Sends a backhand across ice into the corner. Schwab. There's Snuggerud again at center ice. He'll enter the Elk River zone. Send a shot wide into the corner. Players on the near boards fighting. Out of it comes Jerimko. Jerimko's pass too far for Schwab. It's going to be an icing. And with 4:48 to go in the period, time is becoming a factor. If Elk River wants to come back and tie this game.
You got to get going if you're Elk River. I know it's tough to get momentum when you kill off 2 straight penalties, but since it was killed off, it's been Eden Prairie with the forecheck, establishing all the pressure. You got to change that if you're Elk River. As you said, time's short with the loose puck there in front at him. I didn't see what happened with the camera.
Attempted the shot for Elk River or Eden Prairie. Berglove didn't know where the puck was once again, and 21 Jack Sullivan rushed the net because he saw the puck, peeking out of the left pad of Berglove, but whistle's blown. Elks come the other way. Keeley into it. He's got a potential for a breakaway. Low shot, just wide. Plays fighting with Bowden in the corner. A couple more players down there as the skates slide along the boards. Another pass attempt at a breakout, and it's not on the tape. Some less than crisp passing is really thwarting the Elks' effort to get into the offensive
zone. Look at that right
zone.
there. They had a guy at the blue line tipped off his stick. The breakout game transition not working for the Elks, and you got to get it going with 3.5 to go.
There's a deflection into the zone by Springman. Jerimko after it along with Schwab, but they failed to set anything up. It's back to neutral ice.
Well, how about Eden Prairie, too? Even though they're up by a goal with just a few minutes left, they're still, looks like, bringing 2 or 3 forecheckers into the zone. That time 3.
Alex Schwab up ahead, potential 2-on-1. Here's Jerimko. Jerimko looking, centering. Nice defensive play by Shu. Tied up Jerimko for just long enough that he was too deep and had to send a pass hard through the slot. Niederer and Boudreau in the corner. Snuggerud has it taken away. Back comes Jerimko for Elk River. He enters the zone. Pass deflected. Held in at the line. But Snuggerud flips it out. It's kept in by Zerbin. But the Elks are in the middle of a change. Eden Prairie easily sets up 2:45 to play in a 1-goal game. Giveaway at the blue line. Shot, spinner, post! To the stick side of Berglove. Another rocket off the stick of Spinner. Lutz wraps it around. And Eden Prairie, once again, not letting any scoring chances really here in the last 3 minutes and change of this period. Elks hold it in. Shot bounces off the far end boards.
Good job by Mark Sullivan a second ago to get his body. That shot was going on net.
There's a giveaway. Springman, the captain. Shot deflected. Still reaches Gertis. He steers it aside. And Spinner sends it off the corner board up out of play. 1:56 to go in the contest. 2-1. Eden Prairie still leads by a goal.
Well, hopefully the second game will be as good as this one. It really picked up about midway through the second period. And entertaining.
Yeah, once again, stick around for the Sun Current post-game show. We'll get a quick recap of the opening game. Shot just wide off the stick of Springman. And then obviously we'll follow up here 20 minutes after the conclusion of this one with Edina and Grand Rapids. Clays emerges. He gives it to Jack Sullivan. Back to Clays. Clays looking for Keeley in front as the puck poke checked away by an Elk River defenseman.
Keep an eye on Berglove, too. But
yeah, Elk River needs to get the puck out of their zone and into the Eden Prairie end before Berglove even thinks about skating off. He's out of the crease. The Elks hold it in, and he's off. Extra skater is on for the Elks. Shot fanned on that time. Snuggerud has it. He's at center ice looking. We'll see if he can. Nice pass.
Wow.
Drop pass. Shot. Scores. Jack Sullivan. Assist by Luke Snuggerud, and that will be all she wrote. Eden Prairie with the empty net goal. See if you get it on the replay.
Yeah, and look at the pass by Luke Snuggerud. Tempted to always fire that on an open net. Stayed patient, wait for number 15, it looked like, for Elk River to fall to the ice. Made a great pass over to Sullivan. Empty netter puts the game out of reach.
You know, he is just so good in the neutral ice. I said that earlier. When he has to make a play or when he needs to control the puck, he's so calm and collected. That time, drawing a couple defenders to him. Drop pass to Sullivan, who had an easy open net to fire the clinching goal.
And usually you don't say highlight reel goals on an empty net. That one almost was with that pass by Snugger. Just a real heads-up play. You can see why he's a Division I recruit.
Elk River, puck still in their zone. They're down 2, 30 seconds to go. So in the battle of top 5 teams, here's Spinner in front of the net again. Shot trickled through the legs and went wide.
Of course, the question Gordy Roberts might get is, did he pull the goaltender too soon? There was about 1:10 when Berglove came off the ice. I don't disagree with the decision, but always easy to play Monday morning quarterbacks. It looks like the Elks will get a very ill-timed penalty.
Late tripping penalty, I believe. Looked like Spinner and Kerstad were going at it. Kerstad gets tabbed for it. But after seeing Eden Prairie, this is personally my third time seeing them.
I was going to comment, why do they have 4 Oh, okay, I was going to say, did they give one to Eden Prairie too? They only have 4 players on the ice, but yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Personally, after seeing them, we've talked about it pretty much every post game. I'm sure we'll talk about it again here in 21.9 seconds. But as Snuggerud and Spinner go, so go the Eagles. I mean, they are the elite players on this team, one of the elite players, 2 of the elite players in the Metro and the state. And you just see how much they really turn the engines for this Eden Prairie attack.
Well, they scored the first 2 goals of the game, and yeah, they're really the steadying force here for the EP team.
Clock will wind down. Shu has it near his own goal, so Eden Prairie wins the matchup of 2 versus 3. They take down Elk River by the score of 3-1 with a fist pump from Jake Gertis to cap it off. Eden Prairie 3, Elk River 1. First game of the Edina Holiday Classic in the books. We'll be back with the Sun Current post-game show in 30 seconds. You're watching high school hockey on Perfect Storm Broadcasting.
Stay current on what's going on in your local community. The Sun Current is a local community newspaper that serves several communities in the Southwest Metro, including Eden Prairie, Edina, and Bloomington. The Sun Current will keep you up to date with the latest comings and goings on your school board, city council, arts and entertainment, and community events. And make sure you check out their in-depth high school sports coverage featuring weekly articles on Eden Prairie, Edina, Jefferson, and Kennedy. From football and hockey to tennis and swimming, the Sun Current has your favorite team covered. Keep it local and visit the Sun Current website at current.mnsun.com.
Eden Prairie 3, Elk River 1, so the Eagles move to 6-0 in the 2013 season. Elk River takes their first defeat of the season. They fall to 5-1. Let's go over the scoring for the contest. First period was scoreless. Were a couple penalties assessed to Eden Prairie, but after 17 minutes, no score on the board for either school. Luke Snuggerud opened the floodgates at 2:07 of the second period. His 4th goal of the season. Assist from Colton Schmidt. That gave the Eagles their first lead of the game. Elk River came back 12 minutes and 1 second later with a goal off the stick of Reggie Lutz. Assist came from Peter Jones and Jack Geisler. So after 2 periods of play, we were all knotted at 1, and as we said in between periods in the second intermission, we were expecting a very good third period, and it came by way of the Eden Prairie Eagles. They really thoroughly outplayed Elk River in that third period. The game winner scored actually shorthanded. Steven Spinner made the play all himself, took the puck away, sidestepped a defender, and beat the goaltender Berglove down through the armhole. His goal is a team leading.
Well, you do the math on it.
Nope, his 4th goal. Rather, looked at the wrong player, but 4th goal of the season, 10th point. Spinner shorthanded at 3:33 of the third period. And then Elk River gambled, took out the goaltender with about a minute and 40 seconds to play. And right away, a turnover right at the blue line. Luke Snuggerud carried it in, drew a couple defenders, dropped it behind to Mr. Jack Sullivan, and he put the biscuit in the basket. And that's how the Eagles escape and open the Classic with a 3-1 victory over Elk River. So we do star of the game, and I think you got to give it to Snuggerud just for his performance, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Give it to him or Spinner. I go with Snuggerud as well. Just overall good effort by Eden Prairie, and looking forward to some good hockey coming up.
So we're back. Game time, like I said, we'll probably be pretty close to on schedule, looking at it right around an 8:35 face-off, I would assume. 10 minutes of warming up, 10 minutes of resurfacing, and then the players will be back out about 5 minutes before the puck drops. The Thunderhawks and the Hornets from Braemar Arena will take a 15-minute break. We'll be back with the second game of 2 here from the Holiday Classic. Edina and Grand Rapids on PSB.
Thanks for tuning in to live local play-by-play coverage of the Eagles High School sports. Tonight's broadcast was brought to you by Umbria Gourmet Pizzeria, The Mulch Store, Alpha Investment Advisors, Performance Therapy Innovations, Brandy Warmbier State Farm Insurance Office, and Healthy Training. Keep it tuned to PSBMN.com for more broadcasts of Eagles High School sports.